All right, we're live now. We had some technical difficulties. So today we have two special guests. Jerry Bellis, which is become my spiritual father. We got the guy that makes every hat look cool. The first time I did this, it sounded better.
Sounded a lot better.
Yeah, but Mikey, he makes literally every hat he wears. It looks good on him. And we got Pete, Aaron behind the confuser, and Nolan.
Yo.
And Jerry is going to start us off with a prayer today.
Father, we just thank you for this time, and we thank you for those folks that we may be reaching. We just ask that there just be one out there that we can touch their heart today, make them see Jesus, let them give their life to you, and let them learn to live a Christian life. I thank you so much for this group of guys. They have been such a blessing for me. And I just give you all praise and glory in Jesus' precious name.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, so Pete had this beginning of the week idea.
Yeah, so we came up with a little topic beginning of the week, which now we've dubbed Be Angry and Sin Not. So it's going to kind of tie into anger. How do we see anger? Is it right? Is it wrong? It's part of daily life. How do we deal with it? But what a lot of it's going to stem from is the suffering, not really suffering, the daily trials that we go into. How do we react to those, and how often in the midst of struggle do we get angry and deal with it? So I guess that's what we're going to go with. And then one of the things was, it's kind of coming to me what we were talking about earlier, was all our lives, or our Christian lives, I mean, things are different before, but our Christian lives, we lived in a way where we didn't really see the suffering. We kind of lived almost in a little bubble of protection, seemed like.
Not just that. For me and Isaac talked about this over lunch.
Okay.
For me, it was, and I'd forgotten about this. My wife reminded me that we went to Cowboy Junction for a little bit, and it's a good little church.
Yeah.
Great pastor, and he had a sermon on suffering as a Christian, and I had been mad at him, and I've been going through it hardcore. Marcy's like, you remember when we walked out and you were pissed at the preacher for preaching that Christians had go through hard times? Yeah, well, I guess I did get that one wrong.
So then you think that first step, or that first season, what was that? Was that a season that was soft because we weren't ready for the suffering?
I don't think so. I think it's a matter of how hard you press into it.
So the harder we press into it, the more we suffer. The struggles become, I guess, not really that we suffer, but the struggles become more there, like they're more intense.
I have no proof of that, but it makes sense to me because it's been 3 years I mean, I've been a Christian longer than that, but it's been 3 years since we've like kind of found, I guess, what you would call the charismatic.
Well, yeah, because
charismatic version of it.
The New Colony thing started June of 2019.
Yeah,
here we are.
The New
May.
Colony, that was really just pushing.
It was.
We knew there was more. We had no idea what it was.
It was pushing for the supernatural, for the miraculous that we didn't see.
Right.
That was the whole point of that.
We've seen it now.
Yeah.
And it's not become norm, but we've seen it. But I don't know. Like for me, so I've talked about it a few more times before. I seemed like I went into depression, which when it started, I got this verse, Romans 5:2-3, which says if somebody has it, read it. Well, we've had it before, but anyway, it talks about how tribulation brings character, and there's one more, and then it creates hope. And last week, Monday, I went in to do a blood work to see if my testosterone was low or what was happening. Yeah. Well, this week, day before yesterday, I got the test back, and it was extremely low. Well, not just that, my thyroids weren't working. And I'm thinking, like, the doctor gave me a testosterone shot. And I'm thinking, like, if this works, I'll come out of this. Then did I get it all wrong? Like, the Romans 5 was just something my mind brought up. So yesterday, it was supposed to kick in yesterday. It didn't really well.
Today, it seems like it has a little bit today.
Yeah, today's been a lot better. I feel more myself, but my mind is still not there. Yeah. So what I realized is it was two things. It was my mind and my body. So I think my mind is still under some kind of tribulation that we just have to fight through.
I think it could also just be recuperating from your body being so far down already. Now you're if that starts to pick up, maybe your brain will feel a little bit of ease on it, and it'll start to come back a little bit too.
It's possible, but the thing is, I'm not curious like I used to be.
Yeah.
But at least I was just miserable. I would sleep almost all the time.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, today I had a good day. I had fun, but my mind is still not what it was. I have to push myself to take risks, and which that's not just now. It's been a while coming, but it's getting better. But I still think, like, when I received that particular verse, Romans 5:3-5. There had to be a reason for it, because I remember as soon as I read it, I remember where I was when I was reading it. I was on my way to work in the Rocket, and I was reading it, and I'd been praying for God to take this from me, this miserable being. And I remembered when I read it that I had read it before, and then when I read it, I prayed that He should bring it because I wanted more character, I wanted more hope.
Yeah, and
I repented because I prayed for it. This is what I wanted. Now that I got it, I was asking to get rid of it. But that might, it wasn't to the point that I was just straight up miserable. I couldn't do nothing. But it's getting better.
Yeah. That's good. It's good to hear.
Yeah. So back to the suffering. So why do we go through suffering, or what is your opinion on that?
I'm very new to it, but to me, I think it's just that. Do you have Romans 5?
I've got it.
3. I'll read it. 3 to 5.
I've got an NASB. Verse 3, and not only this, but we also celebrate in our tribulations, knowing that tribulation brings about perseverance, and perseverance proven character, and proven character hope, and hope does not disappoint, because the love of God has been poured out within our hearts through the Holy Spirit who was given to us.
See, and just to develop better character or a stronger character, I think it'd be worth it. But I'm sure there's more, Jerry.
Well, for me, anger can be a habit, something that you was raised with, that it's just a habit for you. It's the way you was raised. It's what's in your spirit when you get saved. You don't even realize that you've got it, really. Me, my background, I'm an ex-alcoholic. My dad was an alcoholic and very, very abusive. And everything he done all of his life was in anger. So consequently, I reacted with anger all the time till I didn't get saved till I was 42 years old. But I had probably been saved a year and a half, and a good friend of mine and brother in Christ that had led me to Jesus went to a revival, and they had a sermon on deliverance of anger. So sometimes some of us, that's just, it's a natural habit, the way we grew up. And when there was no God in your life, there was no way to know there was any difference.
Right. Isn't part of that also, I don't know. I used to have a lot of anger, which got miraculously taken from me when I got saved, but I think some of it is also a natural reaction to men trying to protect themselves against being too sensitive.
Yes, it is. Or like with my dad, it was all about, my dad was like John Wayne. You had to be tough. You if somebody give you a hard time, you just decked them. That was it. That was the rule back then. That was, there wasn't all of this lollipop, sissy, everything being hug and kisses. The one thing that I still think was good that come out of that was when we used to have them little old fisticuffs, it does teach respect for one another.
It does.
And I'm not saying we need to be fighting. This is not my point at all. We shouldn't be anyway,
That's what I was hoping for.
It was. Yeah, I want to try you, boy. But it was something that we had to be delivered of us. And Larry had went to that revival and found out about it, and then come back and told the other three of us, and we actually ended up praying over it and praying over one another and praying for deliverance. And that was when I started getting better. I'm not perfect by no means with anger, but I'm a whole lot better than I was. At least I can turn the faucet off. When in the old days, when I got mad, I was mad, and I could stay that way for days.
Yikes!
And that anger probably was the number one thing in my life that caused me the most harm, because I believe that 99.9% of a person's problems is self-induced. Yeah. It's because they made a poor judgment here or there and done something wrong. So for not all of us, not everybody's the same. Some of us literally have to be taught and learn that it boils down, and I'm not making excuses, but it boils down to it's more of a bad habit,
right,
than anything else.
Which I think, like where you're coming from, and especially your dad, that generation, they were maybe too far on one side of the anger, and we do everything by beatings. But now we're in the opposite, and there's got to be a middle ground somewhere. That's a happy medium. Or a happier medium.
Yeah. I don't think we're looking for a happy medium, though. Like, a happy medium's not going to help us here. We need...
You mean a half angry medium?
We need to find the line that's right. And it's somewhere in the middle, yes. It's got to be, because, you know, this kind of what we were talking about when you mentioned Jesus in the temple, he was angry. Yeah. And I was telling Nolan on the way up here, you know, when you look at that, when you think about back then, you're looking at a time where... weapons were a normal thing. Like, now we look at constitutional carry, and you look at guys carrying a gun, and a lot of times you look at them, and one of two thoughts normally comes up. What's he planning? Or, I really don't think he should be carrying one.
I think that's changed a little bit. For me,
it has more, yeah, which I carry licensed. I have long before it was constitutional. When we just had LTC carry.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've had my license and carried a gun since I was, I don't even know, 22. So, you know, I kind of do look at that. I was pro Second Amendment, against constitutional carry, and that's maybe a lot of times not.
What?
Yeah, that's what it was. So anyway, but you look at the time of Jesus and stuff, when every Roman probably carried a sword. Even probably the Jews, half of them probably carried a sword. I mean, Jesus himself said
the Jews were. I mean, they were under Roman rule, but they kind of governed themselves.
Yeah, but I mean, even Jesus said, you know, him who has a sword, take up a sword, and he who has a cloak, who doesn't have a sword, has a cloak, sell the cloak and buy a sword. Yep. So you know there was people carrying weapons. So when you think of Jesus walking into the temple at that day, and he got pissed off at what they were doing in there,
he had a whip.
How pissed off must that one guy have been to drive out a bunch of people that were carrying swords? Whip or not, if you're carrying a sword versus whip, who wins? Yeah. So he must have been. Well, I don't think so. I could throw a sword. I might not be dead straight, but you throw a sword at sharp.
I think some of it goes back. Look at all the times that Jesus instructed them to pick up their weapons and go forth in some of those battles. But when they got there, they got to pick up the spoils.
Yeah.
Because Jesus had already been there before him. There wasn't no need. He had them pick up their weapons. It's like you carrying a weapon.
Well, a lot of it's just
going through the action. But you never did have to use it.
Yeah.
Well, Peter did once. He cut off that soldier's ear.
Yeah, he did. And right. I think that was the one time he told not to.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't even angry at him. Just very sternly told him.
I think he might have. Yeah, that's true. I was going to say, I think Peter might have been angry.
Yeah, Peter was angry, probably.
But see, that kind of goes to it. So how pissed off was Jesus in the temple to scare all these people out and to drive them out with a whip? And Jesus pulled out a sword, and it is a flesh wound. I mean, granted, it was probably a pretty substantial flesh wound, but flesh wound nonetheless. It wouldn't have killed him. And Jesus got mad at him. Basically like, hey, this is not what we do. But yet he's supposed to carry a sword. What do we do with it?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Also, when they did arrest him, they were afraid of him. He finally said, come and take me.
So, but I don't think he was mad at that time.
No, he wasn't.
He's a controlled monster.
Yeah. That's actually a very good point, I think. Which that also needs some defining. Like, what's a good controlled monster look like?
I don't think so. Like, I think the video that we've watched, the Jordan Peterson one, that does a very good job explaining that. The way he describes it, you don't really need to describe a controlled monster. You kind of know those people. There's some people that you know you could mess with. It wouldn't be a good idea, and yet they've never done anything.
I have a hard time.
Why?
That. Because to me, I think a controlled monster would also be one like his generation was like that.
Okay.
Where if somebody's kids get out of line, I don't give a shit if I know them. They're
See,
gonna get a
that's
good
the
talking
opposite.
to.
That's not a controlled monster.
Yes, it is.
No, the controlled monster is the one you don't even have to. Like I think they stem from that generation, but I don't think that is a controlled monster. The controlled monster never even has to raise his voice.
Oh, but kids don't pay attention.
I think so. I don't think even that applies. There's I've got a niece and nephew that both of my nieces and nephews actually for the longest time were terrified of me. I've never done anything.
Oh, actually, I just realized I had a teacher that.
That's what I'm saying. I think when you actually see that, you even as a child, like there's some people as a kid, there's just a sense like, even if they're completely nice to you,
but
like
I wasn't
your teacher
afraid.
Probably no, but there was a respect for it.
Yes, there was.
Exactly.
I don't know where that came from.
See,
it was not intentional. I guarantee you that.
It's
instinct.
It was
subconsciously.
Yeah.
Very, very.
I think that's it. It's just an instinct. It's instilled inside you, and you know.
I wish I would pay good money to have a day with Ernesto Loya. And if Ernesto Loya, if you ever hear this, contact me. I'm in Seminole, Texas, and I want to talk to you. I would pay your trip out here to have a day and lunch with you. He was my teacher. And I guarantee you, there was no teacher. It included the principal, where we didn't make so much trouble that we were borderline get kicked out every single day.
Yeah, but not with him.
Never tried. Didn't get away with it.
What do you think would happen
tried.
if you had?
I don't know. I honestly, I don't know. There's no way to tell because I've never seen anybody. Like, it wasn't just my class.
Yeah.
It was all the classes and all the troublemakers respected him. It's not that they tried and didn't get away with it. Nobody tried. That's the weird thing. But I think he would have very calmly asked you, why are you doing that? You're looking stupid. Quit.
But the thing is, there's an intimidation, like a level of respect, something that makes you feel like, I'm not going to try anything with this guy.
It was like, I hadn't even thought about it until I was married.
That's what I think it is. Because I think even that.
So you would describe him as like the controlled monster.
Yeah. I think so.
I agree. Because that's what I see when the way Jordan Peterson explains it. That's what I see is you see guys, they're calm, they don't freak out, they never raise their voice, never. Like they're 100% contained at all times.
That's how this guy was. He was.
You never heard the term "always watch out for the quiet ones."
It was. It was quiet.
Yeah, and the thing is, it doesn't have to be. That's what I kind of mean. He's not one quick to speak. He'll listen before he talks. It's one of those things. It's he commands a level of respect because he doesn't show any type of stupidity, high intellect, really calm,
very, very smart.
And that's exactly that. He knew when it was time to open your mouth and when it was time not to.
He owned several chemical patents here in the U.S. and he lived in Mexico.
Now go back another generation or two, probably two with this bunch.
Not that young.
Uh-oh.
When I went to school, all your teachers had a paddle.
Okay.
And the paddles back then were about yay long, 18 inches, 16, 18 inches long. And about an inch to inch and a half apart, they had 3/8 holes drilled in them in a paddle.
I remember those even from
Seminole
when I was
still
a
has
kid.
one.
Really?
Oh, yes. Seminole. If you go to Seminole School, you can sign a waiver at the beginning, or you have to sign a waiver at the beginning of the year if your kid can get pedaled. But yes, they will tell you why, and they will call you when they get pedaled. But they can get pedaled in Seminole.
But
I respect
at that time, a teacher didn't need a witness or nothing.
No,
You got in trouble in class, they could snatch you up out of that seat, warm
Boy,
your
we gonna
butt,
go
and
in the
put you
closet.
right back on it while it was
Yeah.
still hot.
That's what they do here still. The only problem is
It made you learn respect. It made you learn manners and know what you could do and what you couldn't do. So it taught you about accepting authority.
I
But
like
I
like the idea that you have to call the parents because there's a lot of teachers who are not there for the kids anymore.
Yeah.
That used to be different.
The thing is, I think that right there, even the paddle itself, it only worked on half of them.
Yeah, no, it didn't work on me.
No,
I
it didn't
got
work on me either.
beatings.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I got
Yeah,
beatings.
I was one of the few, like, it hurt like crazy. I'm sorry I did it. Tomorrow I'm gonna do it again.
I forgot. Oh, yeah. No,
It
not just
never
that. My
fazed me.
dad, he could put on a good beating.
Yeah,
So would you rather get the beating or the talking to?
I think the beating. It didn't last as long.
Josh was
Yeah.
the same way.
You suck it up, man. Did it suck?
Yep.
But once it's done, move on.
I would rather be
Prep for the next one.
physically hurt than mentally hurt.
The worst ones were when a teacher sat there and cried. Like, Herman, you're so much better than this.
I never had a teacher do that. I don't
did
have
that.
to worry about that.
I made a teacher cry.
Really?
I did.
How?
What did I do? I can't remember what I did.
You're broken, Aaron.
Multiple times. It was multiple times.
Why?
I don't remember what it was.
So I had teachers always tell me, Herman, you're so like you got so talented, and I'm always like, yeah, sure, whatever. Now looking back, now I know I am very talented.
Yeah.
What don't understand now, like if the teachers did see it, why did you never try to bring it out where I could see it? Because I didn't see it back then. But a good teacher could have brought that out where I could see that I was talented, and I was wasting my time. But anyway, but the school I went to, a private school in Nashville, was most of those teachers were not really teachers.
Well, I think that's the way it is most of
They
schools
were
now.
well paid.
Like, so where I live, it's hard to find teachers. Like the schools have a hard time getting teachers, and there's a bunch of reasons. Kids are a bunch of wild hoodlums. Like I told my kids the other day, like I hate it. Like I even hate the fact that it's like that. But this generation right now is literally one of the most worthless generations there is, and it's sad to say that because
And the thing is, so it's true because part of it is, first of all, kids a lot of times don't have parents at home that teach them right from wrong. And then when the teachers try to do it, they get reprimanded from the parents.
Amen.
That's wrong.
Like we're right now raising the generation that they claim. What is this last one? Gen Alpha?
What?
I
Well,
think
I
that's
hope
what
not.
it is. No,
That's-
I really think it, like you could look it up. I want to say we just passed Gen Z. So this generation being born now is like Gen Alpha or something like that. I read this the other day because one of my kids mentioned this.
I'm sure they call them something.
No,
more
like,
sissified
well,
than alpha.
I told my kids, and the thing is, I want them better than that. Like I do. I
kids
think
will be better than
well,
that.
yeah, we have the opportunity to make this the best generation.
Yeah.
At the rate we're going, we have made the worst generation because they don't understand justice. They don't understand discipline. They don't understand simple cause and effect.
So what has really changed?
But
What has changed? The parents.
Okay.
It's not the kids' fault. Not at all. It's our fault. But that's where we're at.
How about like technology or like the way everything
Oh,
around them
that
and
plays a
everything?
part of it.
No.
It's not all of it, but it has to play a part.
No.
How
No.
not?
You know what?
You're all wrong.
Uh-oh.
Okay?
Done messed up.
Enlighten us.
This kid's going south, and it saddens me to say this, but that all began with my generation. My generation.
I think even prior, I think this has been a long streak.
Vietnam War
You're annoying.
and people coming home with all the drugs and everything. And that is when all this rebellion started in the schools. And they started with you couldn't pray in school, you couldn't pledge allegiance to the flag in school, and all of this out of control and disrespect began with my generation. And each generation, the kids have gotten worse because,
Kind of the hippie era.
well, our teachers, like when I was there, you got in trouble, you get your butt paddled in a heartbeat.
Yep.
Then they got to reason against capital punishment, and they got against this. You ain't even supposed to spank your own kid. But yet God says right in the Bible, spare the rod and spoil the child.
Amen. No, it does.
And it all started with me. I've got to watch this generation after generation with sadness in my heart that it was my generation that started all this rebellion. And stuff.
Where we sit now, I mean, pointing fingers, that's fine. Like, that's where it came from. That's fine. But pointing fingers at where it came from.
See, I don't even see. I don't think it's even then. I think it's been stemmed even further. I think it's been human nature to rebel.
If you think about the whole hippie revolution,
yeah,
that's got to be where it started.
No, I don't
Love
think
and
so.
peace
What
for
started them?
But dude, that was Vietnam right there. That
Yeah.
you're talking
But
about.
so you could say that started this, but what started that? There was something before that started that. I mean,
Well,
what
that
started?
was the war. There was counterculture to the war.
Well, exactly. But let's go back to the Civil War. Go back that far. We can find rebellion on both sides of that too. What stirred that? What stirred the pot there?
So the Civil War was for the people that were in it. They seen it.
Yeah.
But the people that were not involved in it, they never seen the brutality. The Vietnam War is the first war that was broadcast on TV where people seen it that were
so
not
now you're
involved
saying
in it.
that a little bit of technology might have been at least part of the problem.
Yes, not the problem.
Okay. What did you say just a minute ago? Technology had nothing to do with this.
Not in the sense you're thinking.
To a point. No, it is in the sense I'm thinking.
Not in the sense you're thinking.
You don't know what I'm thinking. You want to know what I'm thinking?
There's and this is a popular belief that kids sitting watching TV all the time.
That's not what I was thinking.
Okay.
Okay, so let me tell you what I was thinking.
What are you thinking?
We're gonna go.
That's what I should ask
I'm
first.
gonna treat this just like COVID. Why was COVID such a big deal? Advertising. You remember when you were a kid? Let's talk about any disease that came before. None of them were advertised the same way. You remember a kid, like as a kid, when things like measles, all of this stuff came
Cholera
about.
was in Mexico. You remember that?
Which one?
Yeah, a little bit.
Cholera.
Okay, so that one. How did you hear about it?
Oh, through all the wives' tale, all the wives talking.
That's right, gossip.
Yeah.
So it went
Oh,
person to
big time.
person to person. So it spread like a fire going person to person. So it had to make contact with one, to make contact with the next, to make contact with the
And
next.
it gets worse by everyone.
Okay, how did COVID spread?
That was media spread.
That's right.
And-
There's exactly what I'm talking about. Technology has put it to where one person's opinion gets widespread over such a large speed so fast.
But you know why the only reason why that works. You're right. But the thing is, the only reason that works is because there's not an authority where the kids feel like what the parents' belief is, not what they tell them. What the parents believe has the authority above what they see on television.
Oh, I agree. I think the parents still have a somewhat say in that.
They should, but the thing is, they don't.
Well, yeah, they don't choose to.
Yeah, but because it's not about what you say; it's the way
Yeah.
you live your life. In front
Yeah,
of your
well,
kids.
yeah, the lessons they learn from how you
Yes.
live,
and not so much what
that's,
you tell them.
and that's fine. Like that goes into what you said, where parents are not around a lot to teach their kids. That's
Even that, I don't think is that big of a factor.
well, I think it is, but I don't think it's necessarily that you have to teach them the lessons. But even for them to live by your example, they have to see you. That means you have
Right.
to be there for them to see it. I'm not saying go
Right,
about
but-
your day and teach them, but even like we've talked about multiple times, where you say the life you live is what your kids are going to see.
Right.
They have to see it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm referring to. But now technology has gotten to the point that even these younger kids, even in school, I mean, what grade do they give them tablets and all this stuff, and they've got online access,
Right.
and
But
that's been a hamper because they're getting news media and
Doesn't
pop-ups
have
at a
to.
young age.
That's still on the parents.
To an extent, I agree.
Not, I mean, not completely,
Yeah.
but it's a big because the thing is, my son Giovanni,
Yeah.
he is a hardcore Republican. I've backed off from it. The kid is more.
Well, the thing is, that's good.
It is, but
I mean,
I'm more
did good.
conservative. But
Yeah.
that's the thing.
You're more conservative than a Republican?
Yes,
How?
I don't agree with everything Republicans say.
Well,
I think some of them are half full
I
of
don't
shit.
agree with half the crap that any of them say.
There you go.
Sometimes I wonder if I'm not libertarian, but I don't think I am. No, I
The
don't think
libertarians
so.
kind of talking about a Cummins. I could
That's-
never do it.
Well,
even though it's a good idea.
if that's the point, then I might be. I'm not going to say.
Oh God, I'm on that one. But
Oh,
that kind of makes. Well, I think about like what your mind gets, like the information that comes into your mind. So
Yeah.
back then, like kids growing up outside playing in the dirt.
Yep,
stuff
exactly.
Like, that. Like what comes into your mind? You don't have to make decisions on
No.
what.
Not only that, but the stress that comes in with this fear mongering that they kind of
Yeah.
do. You didn't
Oh,
get
yeah.
that.
But you still
Oh,
had
yeah.
problems, but it were
Yeah.
different problems.
Well, the
So
thing is,
now
you
we
would
just
like your
address them
neighbor's
different.
kid would be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
I heard
See, there you
this,"
go.
and then you would get that gossip, and yeah, that would be a struggle
Yep.
because sometimes that would bring a little bit of instill a little fear, but at that time when you got scared, you would go ask your parents.
Exactly.
And there wasn't a million things you could Google like WebMD that's going to tell you that if you're, oh yeah, I got a sunburn, but man, that's stage 3 cancer. You're going to die.
But that goes back to the parents.
Yeah.
My kids are on their phones and tablets all the time.
So could it go back to like,
But
where's the kid's heart?
But
I think that is a part of it, but that comes from the parents.
Yeah,
but even
exactly.
the parents don't know themselves, you guys. That's
There
what
you
I'm
go.
talking about from generation to generation.
That's the
Our
problem.
parents
He's
have
right.
gotten lazier. Okay, we're in the middle of a recession. I don't care what the politicians.
we've been in the middle of a recession for 10 years.
It seems that way.
But for a year and a half anyway. Our president gets on TV the other day and he goes, "Well, I think we're starting into a recession." And I started laughing and I'm going, "Where the hell have you been for the last year
When
and
we
a half
come out.
at least?"
We were doing good.
And
Yeah,
so
we were
starting
coming. We were just coming out of recession when they kicked Trump.
But it all boils down to the parents, and this thing's going to get tough.
See, but that's also why kids are so easily fearful, is because the parents are the same way.
Yeah,
But
I
the
agree.
parents don't even know.
You're right.
The parents don't. If this thing gets tough, the parents don't even know how to survive.
Right.
That one there, he'll survive. He knows how to do something.
Right.
He's going to go kill him a rabbit to eat or whatever. This thing could get ugly like the Depression did.
Right, but see, I think why the reason why the parents, and this is not on, like, the parents, it's easy to point the finger at the parents. I don't think it's done on purpose, or they don't even know it. Just thinking about myself, like today with that pack car, we had that file. You asked me this one's going to work. I told you, yeah. I had no idea, but I was tired of messing with it. We're going to try it. And that's the way, when I first started tuning, that's the way we did with everything. I erased so
That's
many.
basically the way we're doing things now.
Yeah, but like you do, I tend to shy away from it, and that's why, like, a lot of this, I'm asking for help from John and some of my friends in tuning that I already know. It's like that. I don't know where Marcy got this from. She said usually somebody asks a question, they already have a good answer.
Yeah.
That one stuck with me.
Oh,
Yeah,
it needs to
I-
stick.
I was
with me.
reading a psychology thing the other day. They said if you're ever stuck between two decisions, you can't make up your mind, flip a coin, and about halfway before that thing hits the ground, you're already going to be hoping for one. That's your answer.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is exactly right.
Oh.
The thing is, we just don't trust ourselves, and the thing that happen. I believe that happens because of comfort. So when I started tuning, we had made a lot of money. I did it just because it was fun, because I wanted a challenge. That's all I did it for. So, but now money's gotten tighter, and just like parents, most parents work for 9 to 5, some 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And there is the money is already in a budget that's going to be there at the end of the week, and so much goes for retirement and whatever else. And there is everything is laid out. They don't take risk anymore. And it's not that they intentionally get there. You will do that on your own if the circumstances are set before you like that.
Man, I must be doing a good job of living in faith, because I don't plan a budget. I hope for the best.
Did it ever not work out?
No, I'm still here. The thing is that's become an honest mindset for me. I've got family that does. They budget, they save like crazy, and then it's one of those things, a big thing comes up somebody wants, and you got to sit there and freak out about whether or not you can afford it. I don't live like that. I have no reason to. We work hard for what we do. We might as well have fun with what we have.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
I call that reckless, but that's the American dream. We're here to live, have fun, and be free. And if that's not what I'm doing, then I must be in Canada, and I just don't know it.
But you said the right thing. You're living by faith.
Yeah.
And that's what that whole book is about, is living by faith, having faith in God for every little thing.
That's what we were
Matter
talking
of
about
fact,
yesterday.
True story.
How do the birds or whatever eat? You know,
You
like
don't even have,
like
the
this.
birds don't even worry about what
Yeah,
they're
so why
They
going
don't
should we?
harvest, they don't store.
And some of you, he probably ain't even going to remember this, and him and
Mike?
him.
You better try hard to remember.
But the millenniums. Do you know what they're calling the millenniums? Back in 2000, the computers were everything had gotten turned over to computers and everything. And everything.
Y2K.
I was so excited. I was thinking we're gonna go back to riding horses. I remember that. That was my thing. Is like if the computers crash, we're gonna have to get a horse.
Well, that was a possibility then too. But they had. I mean, I was in construction. We took 30 by 40 shops, built them, and then turned them into nothing but grocery stores. I was in Pagosa Springs, Colorado, and then people had lots of money. Literally turned them into grocery stores, 8-foot shelves, every 2 foot, 2 foot wides where you could stack, and they filled them. And I had some people ask me, a friend of mine, a Christian brother, actually, one day, he said, Jerry, ain't you guys going to do anything to get ready for millennium? And I said, no, it's going to be what God wants it to be anyway, for one. And I said, two, if them computers crash and burn, it ain't going to take them storekeepers 2 or 3 days to figure out how to get a piece of paper out, write it down.
They better figure it out or else they lose their ass off.
And you'll be able to buy groceries again. I said, I may go buy a can of potted meat and a can of Vienna sausages and 5 gallon of gas, because in 2 or 3 days it's going to be okay anyway.
Yeah. But it goes back to supply and demand. Demand is there, somebody will supply it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's always been. And
I was just excited for the fireworks.
Really?
We never got fireworks in Mexico.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that. I remember the school.
So like when the 2000 came, or like
Y2K. 1999, December 31st. Everybody's freaking out. Tonight at midnight, the computers are going to crash. The entire world's going to end. I just remember thinking
there was a rumor that the computers couldn't go past 2000.
Yeah,
which
that's
was
what
bullshit.
it was.
Yeah,
that must have been a computer that was like
remember that part of it.
The size of this building.
The person who figured the math on that probably did it on a calculator. It was obviously wrong. Or he did it on paper. That was the problem. He didn't use a computer.
Well, a lot of the problem is reading the internet and believing everything it says.
Well,
that's what I
was going to say.
It's got to be right if it's on the internet.
That's right. That's what Abraham Lincoln said.
That's right.
Yeah.
Better believe it.
That's my favorite meme. Anything on the internet, believe everything you read on the internet. That's what Abraham Lincoln said.
But it's, I think like especially the way. So somebody said this a while ago that even our school systems are set up for kids to get used to the grind of a 9 to 5. I never thought about it, but it's true.
That's true.
Yeah, I could see that. But you know what? You know the where they get that spot on. They fit the bill 100% to that. They make kids hate school, and that's going to get carried into that workplace. They're going to go do a job they hate. 9 to 5, like you said, because they're required to do so.
Well, and if you think about it, like a lot of a lot of very successful people did not have any schooling. Pete Clausen.
Yeah.
Do you know he can't write his own name?
No, I didn't.
KMC.
Yeah.
He signs checks, but he doesn't write them. He don't know how. Yes, very successful.
How many customers don't come to the shop and do the exact same thing?
Yeah. I don't know about Hans Fair, but I guarantee Hans Fair hasn't had more than maybe
Hans Fair can read and write.
Junior. Yeah, right. But I don't think he has like
a lot of.
Did he finish high school? I doubt it.
Did anybody here finish high school?
I did.
I did.
You did?
Good boy.
I've actually got 2 degrees in college.
Man,
I never went to college,
but
I finished like 11th.
But I did not set foot,
as you Canadians call it,
until I was.
I probably
16.
had my grade 11.
But the thing is, in a lot of ways, so what?
Aaron, did you get your grade 12?
No, I got my grade 9.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Then I went to go work.
I
See,
finished
that's
I was a
grade
good
8,
guy.
roughly.
I made it through halfway through my senior year, and
you got me beat.
Yeah, halfway
I
through.
thought I was a bad person, and here I find
No,
out.
I was 17.
You're second highest educated here.
Here I was 17.
That's scary.
Yeah. No, third. Both of them have he's got a college degree. He's got a diploma. Jerry's next.
But the thing is, I think for me, what a big part of what made me see it through when I started the business was, well, I guess there wasn't any options. There was plenty of options because I could go anywhere and be a mechanic.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it was just I don't know what it was, honestly. Yeah, I do. I liked my job. I liked being a mechanic. So that's what did it.
That's why we're going to succeed at what we're doing now. Yeah. We like the idea. Yeah. It's going to be fun.
I wish I took, somebody's using my phone. If I have a picture in this phone right here of, you're using the other camera, so I'm gonna turn this off for a bit. Okay. I took a picture of it, and hopefully I can find it real quick.
What'd you take a picture of?
Oh, your shirt?
My shirt.
Oh, the Go Fast Don't Die?
Yeah, and it says, 20 years from now, will you be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than the ones you did do? And that's a pretty obvious answer.
Yeah.
Which one you'd pick. But that includes the ones you think you won't succeed. If you didn't do them, you won't remember them.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
And you might regret not trying it.
Yep.
That's, which in the next podcast we'll talk a little bit about what's going on in the shop. But that's when you and Mikey were talking about them. Like, shit, if I had it my way, I'd pump the brakes.
Gotta see that coming.
For you. Which is more significant to you now than the things that you did but you failed, or the things that you did that you prospered? Which one actually taught you the most about life?
Well, I don't think you can have one without the other. You can't have. Where I'm at now, there was a lot of failing to get there. They're interconnected. I don't think you can have one without the other. They're especially like Hunt's Fair successful, and even Bob. I don't know Bob's story.
I
Bob
plan on
Title.
being bigger than that successful.
But like these guys, they gotta have some.
They do
pretty bad stories.
You know, the thing is, I don't think it's even that you have to have a bad story.
But they're there.
Yeah, there's
some probably worse
in
than
there.
others.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's some of those guys probably have a very strict mindset of once we start, we just don't stop and we continue on regardless. And I think that's kind of what we were talking about with this whole ordeal is when the decision is made, this is what we're doing, we're going to have to sit there and say, you know what, sometimes it might suck. Sometimes it's going to be really good. But the fact is, we have a game plan. We figured 2023, we have a plan for that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's kind of like the podcast I listened to, like with your goal post. That stuck with me. Like you set a goal post and you don't move it until you get there.
Yeah, till we hit that.
Till you hit that.
But see, that also only works if you truly want it.
Yeah.
Like if you have a deep down desire for it.
Yeah.
And I believe that. But because the thing is, I did that with a few things we wanted to do last year.
Yeah. But the thing is, that goes
to be in here.
Yeah. Because that goes to what we talked about is sometimes we want something or we say we do. And for just about a month or so, we push and then we let back.
Right. Because it's not a deep down desire.
Well, sometimes I don't think it's even that. Sometimes I think our flesh gets the best of us and it says, you know what? This doesn't seem like it's working. We were okay. Let's go back to okay.
So let me ask you then. We should probably do this for the other podcast, but
this is important. While it's
what
fresh.
about the engine building?
Oh, it's coming, but this is going to lead to that.
I think so.
Because we need trucks to build engines. We need engines to fill into trucks. We need trucks on the roads that they need require engines.
I'm convinced.
Yeah.
You convinced?
You joined the goalposts.
There you go. Welcome to the field.
Indio always says, you know, I am the art, because he went to some guy that explains it pretty well. He says you have kind of you have one guy at the top that's the artist. He can't paint for shit, but he has a picture in mind. Yeah. Well, maybe not like that, but it's something like that. And but mine seems to have transferred to YouTube. You guys becoming the artists now.
We've got plans. Our plans are for us to prosper and for you to prosper.
Yeah, that's the.
This is like for us. I don't think there's anybody in the shop who wants to get rich on their own. That's not what the goal is. The goal is this is all of us.
So that's what Sarah asked me the other day. Like when we were talking about commission, like when we were changing the pay
Oh, yeah.
for the shop.
Yeah.
And she asked me, "What about DS performance?" I think we're gonna stay that way. So the guys most of the time make more than you do. Yeah, but for a time. Which that's like one side of the coin too, because I get to go a lot of places on the company's dime because it's tax deductible. So that the guy that works there can't do that. But overall, almost everybody.
And I think I make sure that every trip you take is a business trip.
Yeah.
Like water plow.
No, like even that. Yeah, even that. No matter what he does, I've usually got a question, and it's like, call him, hey Herman. And you know the second. I think sometimes probably the only reason you answer is the second I answer this becomes a business trip.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now it's a tax write-off.
I actually can't get myself to turn off the phone.
No, and I'm the same way. That's terrible.
Yeah.
You know that's a good and bad thing. It's a good thing for business. It's bad in everything else. It's a lack of discipline.
To a point, though, because the thing is, I also know that I have somebody in place that won't easily call me.
Yeah.
I mean, like back when it was just me and Abe, really, but then Abe would take care of it. But yeah, when I would run everything, then it was bad. Now I don't get that many phone calls. I really don't.
Yeah.
If it is something, it's usually quick. Which also, I have enough discipline now that if I'm out on a date night with my wife, I'll text you, I'll call you back.
Yep.
Or if it's something emergency, I'll make it quick and tell you. But
on those days, I try to leave you alone.
Right. That's what I'm
I've
saying.
kind of learned the ones that way. This is one of those days they got something going on. We're just gonna fix it or break it.
I like that attitude anyway.
Yeah.
I really do. I wish I don't know. It seems that the norm is that you get away from that.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you know what? You only break a few.
This is true because they're expensive enough.
Oh yeah. You learn real quick in a hurry.
yeah.
Like that cost us so much money. We're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
Now we know what to do.
Yeah.
That's like this whole Freightliner thing that we've been dealing with. We've been steadily working away from that. Now we've got a lot of it figured out, and we're not requiring people anymore. Like it's one of those things. Like we've screwed up a few. We've had to go back from scratch. We've even had to have the dealer fix our screw ups.
That's a tough one to swallow.
But we've worked away from that.
Which now we're getting away from our whole topic. Let's get back on it.
Yeah, not really. How do you deal with your struggles? How do you not get angry?
Yeah.
Dude, you know how many times sometimes I get angry at like this used to not be this.
I don't remember getting angry really.
Who?
Me.
No, I do. I used to not.
Suffering. When you said the suffering,
Okay.
you combine the two, like being good and suffering. When you combine them two, are you really suffering then, or is it in your mind that?
No, I think you still are.
No, you're still suffering, but the thing is, it creates. I think so the way that is written in Romans, it says you have joy. I am still trying to figure out how do you differentiate between joy and happiness, because it says joy, not happiness. And
I think before you start to differentiate in English, you better go far enough back to find that exact same word. Either like you use the Strong's a lot. Go back to the Hebrew and find it, and make sure, because sometimes you get it lost in translation. It might be the exact same word.
I don't think so.
It might not be, but find out. Because I've learned that a lot.
Because you can't be happy in misery.
Well, the thing is,
Or
there's
you can
places
find
in the
joy in
Bible where
misery.
you find the word angry and you find the word wrath and things like that, and they mean they're the exact same word in Hebrew. But in the English translation, they use two different words.
Also, a lot of times the reason is because even though it's the same word, depending on the context, they might mean something else.
It could be, but a lot of times I think it's just lost in translation. I think it goes both ways, because if you use a root word that's in Hebrew, even when you use it in a different context, chances are the Hebrew language wasn't that as expanded as like now modern English and stuff, because we've made up about 1 million words that don't mean nothing, like sus, or
What's sus?
It's suspicious. Why the heck can't
Suspicious.
somebody just say suspicious? Or what's the other one?
Sus, not a
No,
word.
do you know which one pisses me off? Like my kids know. We're talking about be angry and sin not. Bussin'.
But what?
Bussin'.
What
the heck is
Watch, if my wife is listening to this, I'll hear about this tonight. Bussin'. I'm guessing it's spelled Bussin. Like there's all these guys like on Facebook, they're eating food. That's bussin'. No, that's stupid.
No.
Tastes good. That's what it means. Say it right.
I've never heard that.
But that's what I'm saying. They've screwed up English. So how much has been lost in translation because
Don't
people
tell
just
Jerry
screwed
this,
up
he'll really
English?
lose it.
If you start saying bussin', we're gonna have problems.
What did you say? Okay, we gotta bring up the headphones deal. What did you say earlier with the when you set your headphones on?
Me putting these on?
Yeah.
It's like putting silk stockings on a hog.
But hey, you notice that's a true English saying using words, and he gets a whole sentence out, and he doesn't try to short it out and say that sucks.
Not just that. Nobody. You could be a second. You could be a 3-year-old and you know what he said.
Exactly. But
Bussin'.
in modern English, like I can't even talk to kids.
I'm sure glad he knows my age now.
And then you get into the texting lingo, like when they start.
I can't do that.
Oh,
No. Well,
My era started that.
your era sucks.
Not game. We're the same era.
I know.
So you guys are saying you want to learn Spanish? Well, Herman, you're good at Spanish, but then imagine the texting in Spanish.
Oh no.
That
Yeah,
stuff.
to the QU.
You know
I've
what?
seen a little
I
bits
want to
of that.
learn.
I was like,
yeah,
no.
I want to learn to speak it. I do not want to learn to read and write it.
If you,
I
can
just-
you should go the opposite. Learn to read and write it, and then you speak it because it's spoken exactly the way it's written.
Well, I've
one
seen
thing
that because that's one thing. Like going through the catalog and stuff when we go through those parts.
Like, yeah, that was
Yeah.
pretty cool. You read it exactly like that, and then
yeah,
you,
it
says
makes sense.
It
then.
might have a heavy gringo accent.
Oh yeah. Oh, ask Nick. He gets pissed at me all the time. Like whenever I try to say something in Spanish, he'll go, "How is that?" I know I'm white. I'm from Texas. I am not Mexican. I'm not
Mexican.
denying that. No.
That's
Be glad I don't say jalapeno.
How many of you guys as kids can write cursive?
My oldest can. I'm not sure if the other two can.
I think Johnny can too. I don't know about Joshua. Joshua didn't finish school.
We at Christmas time we got a big shock from our granddaughter, 13 years old. She's homeschooled. Her mother thinks she's the most intelligent human being in the world.
Is it true?
No. When you find,
I don't know why I asked the question.
When you find some of the smartest guy in a pile, the guy that thinks he's the smartest, you're really looking at the biggest dumb butt in.
I
But
found myself in there somewhere.
anyway, Grandma gave her a card and she said, "You know, Grandma, I really love your birthday cards and your Christmas cards, but," she says, "I can't ever read them." And Grandma said, "So what? What do you mean you can't read them?" She said, "I can't read cursive, and you always write them in cursive."
Oh.
And she's 13 years old
I had to learn how to do cursive.
and
Yeah, I
never.
remember that.
Man, we
all
had to
she
learn
could do
cursive
was
in 2nd or 3rd grade.
What was that
Second-
other one
second-
that the old colony had?
Oh, so for
What's that
us,
called?
I don't remember Dieterschraf.
Oh, yeah, teachers.
Dieterschraf. Can you do that?
No,
I can't.
I used to.
I still can. Most of
What?
it. Oh yeah, I can do it.
that's
Not
cool.
all of it, but I can do it.
That's
Do
cool.
what?
I'm
There,
slightly
so
envious
so
right now.
growing up, we had to learn basically 2 types of cursive. So you have print, and then you have cursive, which in German they call what, Latinsch, something like that.
It might be a Latin,
Yeah, and then you have Dieterschraf, which is
but that's the one
German
I was talking
way
about.
of
Isn't that
doing it.
the Latin one?
Oh,
No.
really?
That's
No, no,
written
no, no.
weirdly
I think
like
Latinsch is the normal cursive that we use, and then the other one was we always called it Dieterschraf.
that. No,
Yeah.
the Latinsch is the weird one. There's books written. I print it that way.
I can write that. I'm not good at it anymore. And there's a couple of letters. I'm trying to think which ones I wouldn't remember. I don't remember the B. It's a little different, but the majority of it, yeah, I remember it.
It was. Yeah,
You know which one always got me? The E. You remember how to do the E? It's a triangle and then an upside down triangle. That was the E. Yeah. Hey,
Can I borrow this? Let me see that.
your little sticky notes. Yeah.
The in Latin or the
Nah, the Dieterschraf.
oh,
See, now
no,
there's something I had never even thought of in my life was 2 different, other than, I only knew of 2 ways to write, print or cursive.
yeah.
Like
now
that.
I find out there's more.
That was an E.
What?
Well, I did too, because of Chinese. It's all different.
Well, you knew about it. We didn't write it.
Juchtic.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I.
Oi.
I.
Oi.
That.
That's a little Irish.
That's not
Oi.
an E. That's,
Oi!
No,
That's
it
not
is.
an E.
It is an
That's
E.
an
In English,
I.
it's an E. No, in English, it's an E.
In English, it's an I.
No. The I was just like a regular I.
Not in High German.
Yes.
High German E was an I.
No.
and
It was.
oi
It was
an E.
pronounced that way. No, it's A, B, C, D.
It was
Oi.
oh boy.
It depends where you go.
Yeah.
What?
Because
Oh,
the
say,
Ochinia said A,
Like high
and the Renlanda said O.
Really?
Yeah.
I did
so
not know that.
that's what I was always taught. And I went to Rhineland. I went to the Rhinelander Academy for a little while.
Academy.
It sounds all fancy, right? Sucky school. It was O, boy, soy, doi. And then it was A, be, se. Like, depending where you went. It was different dialects. But it was just two different denominations of church that they taught two different ways. But the Huchtische Schrift, that is an E, which in German would be Oi.
A.
No, nicht A. No.
A.
A was
like real Hochdeutsch, it's an A.
A.
No,
A.
it's an A.
Yeah.
B, C, D, E.
See, we were never taught A. It was Oi, and then you got to I, and it was E.
Still to this day.
And then, like, how did you say Y?
E.
E, or what was it in Huchtitsch?
Yacht.
No. That was Plotitsch. Epsilon.
Epsilon.
What? Epsilon.
I've never heard. No, never
Yeah,
learned that.
I heard that one.
Yeah.
So his mom was
She was straight up Huchtitsch,
Yeah.
like real
So
Huchtitsch.
I grew up speaking
true
High
German.
German. That was
Okay.
like my first language.
See, you guys spoke it pure. What we taught, we learned
I
was
hated
like
it.
what Spanish is here, Tex-Mex.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
not true Spanish.
Yep.
See, yeah, there's your eye.
Oh, we don't have to.
No, but see that's cursive.
that's a cursive I.
That's not Huchtitsch.
That's how I learned it.
That's just cursive. My
That's
kids
how I
can do
learned
that. Or at least what? Okay, I will find it. I still have one on my chart somewhere that has the entire Huchtitsch alphabet.
Do search for like what was the other one? Latin.
Do you remember the extra letters that are in German that are not in English?
I do not.
No.
There is
SS, Schluss S, SSAT.
Oh yeah.
You don't remember having to do all
we
that
didn't have
crap?
them. You must have had those because we didn't have them.
No.
They're not
yeah.
actually.
It must have been
or
in the
they-
Rhineland Academy.
Yeah, it must have been.
and it could
I'm
be that they
guessing.
dropped them
I'm
off
guessing.
of the true the
Oh, really?
Huchtitsch.
Well, no. In Huchtitsch you didn't have them, but in Plotitsch you did. Or if I remember correctly.
Ah.
Yeah, this
So I
is just
just-
long.
we didn't
hour
have to-
deal.
I never
Plotitsch.
learned Plotitsch, yeah.
We weren't allowed to speak Plotitsch.
Yeah.
Really?
I remember that.
No,
We had
I
to
got my
speak High
mouth washed with soap
Really?
countless times.
You know what the hardest thing for me to learn was when I tried to teach me High German?
Not the cuss.
I don't know. I still don't think I could do that. Like cuss, I don't think I remember any of the bad words. I don't think I ever learned any. But like, do you remember going to did you ever go to? I guess in Mexico, your German schools are the same way. You ever try to tell your teacher you need the bathroom? Like we were not allowed to speak in English. I spent my entire life in public school. No, heck no, Huchtitsch. How do you say it in High German?
Waschraum.
Yeah, well, how do you ask you can go to the bathroom?
Kann ich noch in den Waschraum gehen?
It wasn't the washroom. I don't remember how they said it now.
Can I say Waschraum?
It was something weird like that. But it wasn't the washroom. It was something else that they made us say. But I remember you had to do that. You had to get up and in front of the entire class ask. It's the only way you could go.
Oh, snap.
Oh, man, that sucked. Yeah, because I couldn't speak German for crap. My German was probably the same accent that
So
I
this
used
was
in
like High
Spanish.
German then, right?
Yeah.
So
I think I can't do it. I can read it very clearly. But
what's
I can't
the
speak
Latin?
it. I could do it enough I could speak to somebody in it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I have to really try.
See, Zach, they still speak High German at home.
Yeah, they do.
What was it about just straight Latin? What was the show for just Latin? Latin, not cursive, like just Latin.
Latin script.
Yeah, that's probably it.
I don't think so.
Maybe the teacher bastardized that too.
Oh, probably.
What was up top? No, that's not it.
Well, speaking of language, I know Pete was talking about how anger and wrath and things can mean the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, when you write in Hebrew, it's not from left to right. It's from right
Deutsche Gothic.
to left.
Yeah, I've heard it before.
And it's a symbolic. So every line you should see is like if you're speaking
I can
a
speak
story.
German when I get out of
And
here.
so
Guarantee I've got every bit of it.
when you read it, the bottom sign is basically like me going, oh, okay, I began this and I got to heal. Then all of the scribbles and dots, all me explaining the story. So it cuts off at times,
I love that language.
That's what I had to learn.
and
I love that one.
that's the end of the thought. So it's like when he speaks about anger, if you actually read it in the Hebrew script, it would be like me saying I got angry at this guy because he did this, as in a story being told.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's no different than now, really.
No, it's not. But the thing is when they did the translation, a lot of what they did is they read the storyline and they said, okay, which one of our words best fits this?
Right. Yeah.
And then they put that in there. And he is actually recite that it was the same thing, but all language now is just different.
Yeah. Well, not only that, how many times was it translated
Well, I think
before it made it to us?
that's why
here, it was full. So it went from actually, because Moses started the Masoretic. Then it went through Aramaic, then Greek, then Latin, then it actually went through German.
Well, the thing
and,
is, depending
and now
still
it's
who,
in English.
Depending still who did it. So you said you started from the Mosaic to the Aramaic and then into the Greek, but somewhere in there, depending on the translation, there was a Hebrew one in there yet too that was written right about the same time as the Greek. So depending which translation you're reading, it comes from either what the Greek Septuagint or the lexicon.
Well, this is also why, like, usually when I study, I use New American Standard.
That's what I've started a lot.
It's written. There's three different ones, but it's written in a lot of ways to where as closely direct translated from the original manuscripts as possible. And then if you use that with the translation, the Passion Translation, with those two, I usually get a pretty good idea of what they're trying to get across.
I'm not really a fan of the Passion Translation, but I like the. Huh?
I am.
Big time. Well, I know you are, but I like my New King James. But the thing is, there's a lot lost in that translation, and a lot of people argue that because. Man, I seen guys on Facebook the other day going back and forth because somebody was talking about the NLT, and I think they were about ready to burn that dude down. Like, people get mad and say, well, it's King James Version for me, but people don't take into account. Look at the history of the actual King James Version Bible. Yeah. It's by no means the original script, and a lot of people are really like, if you read anything else, that's heresy.
Well, but isn't that the people that are
strict traditionalists?
They're stuck in this version of Christianity.
Yeah. And
if somebody questions that in any way, then they lose their mind.
Oh, yeah. We're going to have another Reformation. We're going to start burning people at stake. If you ever get a chance, listen to, and I think it's a podcast. He does some audiobooks. Dan Carlin. He has a podcast called The Prophets of Doom. Okay.
And it explains kind of from the Reformation, from where Martin Luther rebelled and these different priests rebelled against the Catholic Church.
No.
What that led to. And it led to a lot of killing, and they were all sanctioned, and they were all done because they were Christian. Yeah. And that's like now from that, like it's also something we were talking about earlier. Like Jerry talking about like the generation before him, very angry. Now I've gotten the exact opposite of that. No angry.
Yeah.
Where everything flies and we don't say nothing. It's not good either. And that's what they did. Like they would. He actually said if someone had chopped your head off, that was considered humane. It was considered you got off easy.
Yep. Well, you look at like history. History's gruesome.
Oh yeah,
and like Christianity.
And this whole Prophets of Doom. It's all about from where our Christianity stems from. The Mennonite version of it, the Christian, whatever, Baptist, all of them. This is where we all come from, branched off of.
Yeah, this is where we've gone to the last couple of podcasts we've been on, where we going back and forth. But it all stems from that area because that's where a lot of these what we call founding fathers of modern Christianity came from.
There was bloodshed.
Oh yeah, it was terrible.
How many of you have watched the Passion of Christ?
Oh yeah, I've seen it. I've watched it with my kids.
I need to watch it again. I watched it when it came out.
I watched it like a little over a year ago. All three of my kids watched it. Me, my wife, and all three kids. Like it's one of those things. It's violent and it's gruesome, but they need to see it. Everyone does.
You probably don't know this, but there is so many traditional old religious tradition people in this world yet that will not watch the Passion.
Oh
of
yeah, my
Christ
parents I think would to this day tell me it was
because
wrong.
it was too violent and this and that. But you sit down and you read your Bible and you look at what they're saying in there. That was a violent time.
Not just that's what I'm saying. Like this podcast, the Prophets of Doom, he talks about the forms of torture. They would cut your belly open to where your entrails would come out, and put them back in and try to get you back to decent health, and do it all over again 4 or 5 times before they would actually let you die.
There's a whole museums in is it England or wherever where they actually have a.
But these were Christians doing it.
Well, so called.
Yeah, supposedly.
The thing is, that's what they knew.
Yeah, I know.
They really believed that. That was.
Well, the thing is, it was the Roman Catholic Church, which was the ultimate.
This was branching off of the Catholic Church already.
But the ones that the Reformation and stuff was the Catholic Church taking care of all the heretics.
But the thing is, outside of that, it happened. Plenty of that happened too.
I'm sure it
because
did.
there's so many different. That's what I'm saying. Like if he gets all that from texts, biblical or text from historical texts.
Yeah, not biblical, but
no, not biblical, but historical text. But the thing is, that's where our Bible was translated. Like, and he even says, like Martin Luther. There was one thing that Martin Luther he says nobody can say whether he expected it or not. But Martin Luther kind of basically said the Bible is there for everybody to interpret what it should look like for them. Yeah, and he said that's where all this started. People would interpret it one way, somebody else would interpret it a different way, and they all knew they were exactly right, and they would kill each other over it.
I think that's kind of where we're at today.
Exactly. We just now do it with words instead of with spears and knives.
Well, it's just because you don't want to be labeled a bad person.
Yeah, about that.
That's kind of what it is.
It really is.
Yeah, and that's illegal. If it wasn't illegal, they'd probably do it.
You're probably right.
Yeah. Let's be glad. Like, you ever watch the movies The
stop and
Purge?
think about it, they're still doing it.
Oh, they are. Just in America, not as
Just
bad.
look around.
But like you guys
going
ever
on.
seen the movies The Purge? Like, I'm sure everybody here is at least somewhat familiar with what they are. Like, so you imagine how many Christians would take part of that if that was a real thing? That's a scary thought.
So I think it would take probably 50 to 100 years, and it would become a norm for Christians.
Do you think it'd even take that long?
I think it would take that long.
I'm not sure. I think it depends on which denomination. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I
50 years doubtful. The thing is, there's too much of what because the way. Let's say in another 50 years, I'll still be alive.
Okay.
So I couldn't see myself doing it. My kids, hardly, maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Their kids, I could see it. So you're probably looking at about 100 years, I would say.
Because I think it's one of those things. I think I know you enough to say that me and you would be at risk that we would partake in it, but not in the same way that we think. Not in the way that we willingly go kill, but at the same time, nobody would come near mine.
True.
So we would be partaking nonetheless.
No, we would.
So that's why I say Christians would.
But more protection, not
exactly. But Christians
so
would, because I mean, if someone came to your house in a situation like that where all hell broke loose and it was legal, would you allow someone to come in your house and do harm to your family?
No.
Exactly.
Not
Christians
even
would. They would participate.
So is that then where that text comes in from the Bible that where Jesus says, if you have a cloak and you don't have a sword, go sell
Well,
the cloak
I
and
think
that sword?
so. I think protection of your family is your job. God gave you that family, and it's your job to protect them and lead
Well, that's
them.
because and that's which could also go to and like I said earlier. I think me and I talked about it. I don't know if me and you talked about it. Marcy or Lisa. Somebody posted this on the website for the Hope Center. A story about 2 farmers. They both prayed for rain. One after it rained, or as soon as he was done praying, he went and prepped his field. Next day it rained. And the one guy was ready to plant. The other guy, well, he hadn't prepped his ground. So praying and sitting there waiting for it to fall in your lap is not is not.
That goes to like the tuning what you were saying. You just went for it. You're already in faith. It was going to work.
Yeah.
You have to.
If you don't go pray, why pray for it if you're not going to go prepare for the rain?
Yeah.
So I had a.
But it's for me anyway. It's not the norm. It's not my norm to go and challenge it. Like
Test
my
the
norm
spirits.
is I want to see a clear answer and a sure thing before I'll go do it. But that's not healthy. You become lazy and you become fearful.
Have you've seen about laying the fleeces?
Yes.
I've actually done that several times and seen and been with some friends of mine when we've done that in the past, and we would get our answer for sure. But if you was praying for this, but you didn't know what you was doing, lay a fleece out there. If you do this, then we know it's of you, and this is what we're to do, and it works. It really works.
That works with what we were going on at the shop.
That's a really old-fashioned answer to.
Because we've been wanting to do it. We were working the trucks to do it, and we were thinking a month. What happened today? We got a week.
But not just so.
A reason a lot of the reason this don't work is because people give up on the belief of what God set out for their rights for them to do a long time ago.
Right.
It has nothing to do with technology or nothing like that. It goes back totally to our own personal relationship with Jesus Christ and the way we live our life and the amount of faith we put towards Christ.
So, are you saying that just because technology has changed, Jesus hasn't?
Amen.
Exactly. Because back then,
100%.
It's a simple.
He
It
said,
sounds simple,
point
but it's
blank.
true.
He said, point blank, my word is true. Yesterday, today, and forever.
See, because there's something also I came up in my mind once is like when people go through hard times, they a lot of times will quote Job. Oh, yeah. And it's usually it's used in the context of he was very miserable. Usually people will not talk about how he got it back 7 times, but that's beside the point. What I asked myself or asked Marcia that time, like, so it says the evil one came among God's sons and accused Job. What's to say he doesn't do that to this day?
Oh, he does.
Exactly. Then why shouldn't we expect hardship?
I think he does, but I don't think he does nearly as often as he used to. I think we've been trained well enough to do a lot of that ourselves.
Nah.
You mentioned Job.
That's a big hammer, Pete.
Well, you got to swing a big hammer.
I've been living the book of Job for at least the last 12 or 13 years. If things that actually happened, that are actually scripture out of Job, that this happened, which we got to be coming to the end before long. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of days I've looked back and going, God, I feel like I'm living just like Job.
Right, because the pastor mentioned this.
The devil still hasn't gotten my soul, and that's the one thing God said he couldn't have.
So that's actually something I've thought about too. Like we've had financial issues for a while, and it seems like now it's creeping into DS Performance as much as DS Solutions. But like there's times I'm just tired of it, but then I think about it. Like what else is there? I don't know. I'm sticking it out.
That's kind of what me and you were talking about. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about it's just a season. It's going to pass.
I think so. But the thing is, even if it's not, what else is there than trusting God?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We won't ever go another way.
Yeah. What's the alternative? There isn't one.
Yeah. No.
This is all we got.
We've staked too much into it. We're not going to stop.
Turns pretty bright then, right?
Yeah.
The alternative sucks far more.
Well, there isn't really one.
Sure there is. There's an alternative. We could all shut down and go home. That's a depressing thought. That would suck. So that's what I'm saying. The alternative is worse.
All of a sudden, keep going is good, huh?
Yeah.
You still got an
Not
option.
just that,
you can either follow Christ, and he says there's no in between. Yep. You either for him or against him.
Right.
Yep.
So you either keep following God, or you go back to that hot place. And I'll tell you what: if any of you's ever read that description in the Bible of hell, I'm gonna tell you something. This fat white boy don't want some.
So now, like, we're gonna bring him in here when we start talking about hell. Like, we have a long talk coming yet where we have to do that. So we're gonna make sure Jerry's here for that.
We need to.
Yeah, because me and you might get into that one.
Oh, boy.
But
You'll
we're gonna save
you'll have
that
to
for
sit
another
across the
day.
table.
One of these days when you're at the shop,
It's
I'm gonna
black
explain
and
this to you.
white. How can you
That's
argue?
exactly why I'm gonna talk to you about it because I think you would be fun to talk
We're
about
too
it.
far into this one to start.
Yeah, we are. Like,
conversation.
it's a good topic. I think it would be fun. But
It would
this
be.
goes to what you just said right before for Jerry. What other choice is there? There's a choice. Otherwise, you're saying free will doesn't exist. And we
No,
have
there
this
is.
talk. Okay,
I think
just
I've seen
remember.
too much to take. that
Exactly.
choice.
There's always another choice, but the thing is, we don't want it. The other option sucks.
Yeah.
We've
Straight
made
up.
our bed and we're gonna sleep in it, and that's by choice.
People think Christianity is easy.
Oh, it's well. hey, you know what?
And
It
I
is
hate
and it
to tell them
isn't.
this, but they're full of it because being a Christian and staying a Christian and trying to live your life as the Bible says, you will never, ever, ever find a tougher task in your life.
But there's joy in it.
I was gonna say
Oh, yeah,
I enjoy
I'm
it.
not
It
saying-
sucks
I'm not
sometimes for a little bit,
complaining
but
in
even the
terms of
sucks
life.
are
But
kind of fun.
So
Yeah.
what I noticed, like I myself, I have my best days on a challenge. I think that's the way we're designed.
Yeah.
So, and being a Christian has its challenges. So,
Well, look at
they
today.
kinda go hand in hand, don't they?
Today kind of sucked, didn't it? Exactly,
I
but
had
it
a
did
good
kind
day.
of suck when you think about it.
Well, we had a
Well,
Max,
yeah, it was
I had a
fun,
Max Force
but-
7 that really kicked my ass.
but it was fun.
Yeah,
but
it
it kind of
was.
sucked. But the thing is, today was a challenge. I mean, you think about how much we were going back and forth, trying to jack each other's equipment so that we could work on everything. Constantly, like, are you
Oh,
almost
yeah.
done? Are you almost done? And the thing is, it was fun.
Where's that other Nexic? Well, you borrowed to somebody.
That's
I
right.
know.
I'm gonna
And you
find it,
forgot to order the new one.
Yeah.
You were not in this conversation, Aaron.
But that's
buttoned
exactly
in.
it. The challenge of it, we got a lot done in that time. And it sucked,
Not-
but
it's
it
not
was
so
fun.
much. Yeah, we got a lot done, which is very good.
Yeah.
What I like even more than we got a lot done, and I did this on purpose, Aaron, is what I learned today.
What'd you learn?
I got my first Max Force 7 done. The thing is, that thing really did scare me.
That's why I just sat back. I figured DS Performance screwed this one up.
Let him eat it.
That's why when you said, who's going to do this one? You guys can do it.
I really did enjoy. Like, and there's so much I learned about Neds.
Yeah.
After it's all said
Neds
and done,
is very simple software.
yes,
And it's
well,
very-
to a point.
You know what? As much as I hate International, Neds is probably one of my favorite softwares.
It is.
It's very well set up.
Especially since you can, for a fee, you can have full dealer access where you can program controllers, everything, just
Yeah.
like we did one yesterday.
Did you guys see that? We bricked one?
Yeah.
Or not bricked
We had
it, but
all
we...
opened up.
Pretty
No,
much
no,
bricked
not
it.
that one.
Oh,
No,
there's a
we
different one yet.
screwed up one completely.
You could
snap.
say soft brick.
We could not connect anymore.
Uh-oh.
So we
No,
ended
it
up
was
going
thinking.
in.
It was soft bricked.
Yeah, we kind of, foobarred it. But we fixed it because you can. And you can't do that with anything else. Huh.
He did, didn't
I won't point fingers. I know who fixed it.
Aaron already did the finger pointing.
he? Well, now you said it. It wasn't on camera.
There's no pictures. Pictures or it didn't happen. Let's see if it's kind of like...
There we go. There's the
So it's amazing that this podcast is really gone into a lot of what I've been going through personally lately because I've actually taken the undertaking of reciting a book, and I've been asked by a lot to recite a book, and I always ask why, and they're like, because you seem to be a guy that's on the outside of everything. No, it's like you're not really ever a part of things, and you've always just seen it. And I think about us, speaking about that all in. No. And I'm like, I start to go back and I'm like, I had every season to, let's say, down and stop. Because what's in, I was 9. I got considered to be 100% disabled because of my speech. I could not go to a restaurant and order a meal. Like, I was that bad. And it took me 8 years to speak as good as I do now. No. And I didn't even know I could at the time because the first speech therapist I saw said, I can't do anything. He's too bad.
Well, I didn't know this, and Limbaugh didn't talk about it much, but he mentioned it once that he used to have a speech impediment.
Yeah.
Rush Limbaugh.
That's kind of crazy. That man could
Right?
articulate.
Yeah.
That's another thing. There's people like Jordan Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
He can, in one sentence, say what you try to explain to somebody in an hour. What I would take me an hour to explain to somebody. You take apart one of his 5-minute videos, you can write a book on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy's that articulate.
Hey, the thing is, he doesn't even try, but he makes you feel stupid about it too.
You
You ever thought about it?
Yeah.
He does it very nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you think about it. You listen to one of his things, like listen to some of his the gender arguments. You ever listen to those?
Well, you hear how many times he rewrote the 12
Rules of Life.
12 Rules of Life?
Oh yeah.
He went over it like 10 different times, rewrote
Yeah.
the book. I don't know how many. It took him years and years and years. Each sentence
Had to be done.
separately.
Yeah.
I'm way too...
He's one of the smartest people. I like. There's very few people that I will listen to because I just want to listen to him talk because I know there's something there. He's one of those that I will choose to listen to oftentimes over a pastor.
You know, if you want to talk, if you want to listen to somebody that usually in most of his, if he does interviews, really goes into a lot of Baptist and different church history, is I'm using my phone. I'll find the name.
Okay.
Here, Randy Clark.
Okay.
He went to Baptist seminary and got kicked out of Baptist church as pastor.
Really?
Yeah. But he doesn't talk about it in a negative way. He just like kind of what happened, but it doesn't talk about it in a negative way.
Yeah.
Like he basically brings out like this is what happened, and then also he brings in he said he had looked through maybe I'll send you the one I'm trying to listen to. I'm halfway through. That he has statistics of revivals and church growth on where supernatural things happened and where they didn't, and how much he said. And he has the numbers. Like,
Randy Clark, isn't he the dream guy? Dream prophet? Or is it not the same guy?
Healing and impartation.
Okay, no, it's not the same one.
No, he does. Next time he has one of those healing impartations, you should go. It's mind-boggling what happens there. Like, we've seen a guy healed of PTSD while Randy was telling a testimony of somebody else that got healed of PTSD.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
And the guy in the back stood up and just started waving. Like, he got instantly healed of PTSD.
That's awesome.
Just by telling a testimony of somebody else. And then had that guy come up from his testimony, a bunch more got healed. And then after that, they didn't lay enough hands yet. But
where does he do it? Is he like part of Bethel or what? What's he?
Bethel invites him sometimes, but
he just kind of goes all over the country and does them.
That's another thing. Like, so this was part of Bethel set it up, and Bill Johnson has been doing this for how many years? Like, he's seen healings, impartations, all kinds of things for years and years and years. I don't know why you're crying about it, but Bill Johnson, when the first guy got healed, he sat there in front and looked at him and cried like it was the first time he seen it.
Yeah.
After all these years. It was like the first time he seen one.
You know, there's so much negativity. Like, you ever watch all these people that just sit there and bash Bethel? Like, it's ridiculous. You know, the thing is, I get it. Some of it, there is problems in Bethel. Like, you know, and the thing is, it's probably one of those things that somebody will eventually watch this, and I'll get shit for this too. Progressive Christianity. That's what a lot of this boils down to.
Well, it's what you can put it as that, but it's not that.
Well, I know, but that's what I'm getting at. That's what it's being called. So that's why, like you remember the guy up north that was cheating on his wife, and I don't remember if it even was Bethel, but it was one of those mega churches, and automatically the entire church is condemned
Here's
for
another thing: Bethel's not a mega church.
Well, I know, but
it looks
it's
like
seen
it,
as it.
But Bethel's a very, very small church.
Yeah.
They might fit 500 people in there.
But they're a huge organization because they have churches like multiple places. But even still, it's the negative
Well, and the thing is,
the way it's portrayed is crap, because if you actually take the time, like there might be some pastors there I'm not a big fan of, and one of them is it Bill Johnson's son, Eric? He's a good pastor, but I don't agree with a lot what he says a lot of times. But the thing is, then you listen to like Bill, and I love listening to Bill Johnson. I think he's very well articulated, very well taught, and I feel like he's very sincere in everything he says. He's not BSing, and a lot of people are.
So one of the things that I really, really admire, and something I've tried to, especially with the Hope Center, try to somewhat replicate, is he, maybe not regularly, but he brings people in that he might not agree with.
Yeah.
And he said he had asked people asked him, why do you do that? Like, are you afraid that they're going to mislead your church? And he said, no, not really, because I am the pastor, and as long as I look composed, like if something very controversial comes over, the guy that he invited, something very weird comes over, he said there's a line that he draws. He explained himself. He said, I draw a line on if we have to agree that Jesus died for us, like the basics. Yeah. Outside of that, he said the reason I bring him in is to make the people that he teaches, to make him think.
Yeah. Well, not only that, if he has a good solid teaching and he has a following like his, if his church is listening to what he says, his congregation is going to believe somewhat what he believes. If they didn't, they would have left. So if somebody else comes in there and they've got a good, strong foundation as a church group.
This goes back to parents.
I think it often does. But the thing is, not even just parents, but even the pastor. The pastor is the parent in that, in that church.
As far as like your congregation, yes, you're right. Yeah. But it goes to the same thing as parents. Why do kids believe what they get taught in churches? Because there's not a strong enough like rooting of a foundation that the parents believe to the kids. Or else the teacher can teach you whatever they want.
Yeah. Well, see, you know what this goes back to? I've said this multiple times. I don't think I've ever said it here, but our biggest flaw as Christians, when we teach new Christians, and I think this goes into discipleship and everything, we teach them about salvation and we teach them about God's love. Nobody ever teaches identity. How many times is the biggest failure because somebody themselves didn't know enough truth about identity as far as who they are? Like, the biggest thing is worth. If you knew what Jesus did for you, this goes to what you said earlier. There's another way, but we don't. Why would we take it? We don't want it. Because we've seen the best. We've seen what's the price that was paid for us. We've seen what was offered to us. We're not going to step out of that. And that goes to even like some of these like people we've had on the comments that want to sit there and kind of go back and forth with us. You can go back and forth with us all you want. And I'm sorry about you, but you're not going to change it.
Well, the reason why I like the back and forth is the way I see it is
it's a teaching moment, one way or the other.
Yeah, and we can prove ourselves whether we're right.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not right, I want to know.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, they're not going to come in and teach you differently. Yeah. Like they might open your eyes to take the time to study it, but they're not going to change your core belief.
I don't think so. But why don't we extend it to everyone?
Well, the thing is, don't we?
Well, I guess we do to a point.
Like I've never
like churches, I guess in general, or Christians in general tend not to. Maybe not churches so much, but Christians in general tend not to. We try to like this is the box we fit, and don't
exactly. Don't change it. You know, I think that goes to a lot of things. Growing up, you were kind of taught as a teacher, you don't want to know too much. There's kind of ignorance is bliss, and that's bull. Ignorance is stupidity.
You know
that's
where they get that from, though?
Where?
That you will, it's from the Bible, that you will give an account for everything that you know.
Yeah. If you don't know much, you can't be punished for much.
That's what that's the way it's portrayed.
What you don't know can't hurt you.
So,
that's not true, though. Ignorance of the law is not exemption of the law.
So I was up with my wife recently, and we were talking, and it's so crazy that Jesus now got thrown into the mud socket and flipping the tables and doing all that has been brought up over and over and over again. And a thing just popped into my mind that I had never even thought of before. No, and I thought about Christ going up into the temple. And what did he get mad at? He got mad at that they were buying and selling there. And he was mad because that was a place only for God. No.
Holy place.
And then I'm like, you know what? Those markets in the temple all the denominations of today, because I walk in and I see all of these people buying and selling to me. It's like, do you want to buy into this? No. And they try to sell me their version of it. No. And all of these things. And it's like, but I don't want that. I want what I came here for. And that's God. No, it's like no matter what side I do, I can never be 100% correct in my life. No one can.
Right.
So why am I trying to tell you exactly what I believe?
Because I think a lot of the reason why that happens is not even because they're Christian or that they're doing it on purpose. I think it's our natural. We naturally go to that. If you think about, or for me anyway, you naturally try to keep someone else from knowing more than you do, or I do anyway. Or
Okay.
I don't want you or you to look smarter than me.
You don't want to be wrong.
Are you a little bit scared?
If you're,
That's a natural tendency. I'm not saying I like it, but it's a natural tendency that I veer to.
if you're worried about me looking smarter than you, you are wasting lots of time on nothing.
I hope not. You are my spiritual father, after all.
Yeah, that's scary.
I think this, especially like the generation you come from, that was more about violence. That's what I need to learn. There's a middle ground, and the way I grew up is too far to the other side.
We've done a lot of, and I've been sitting here listening. We've done a lot of talking about what's wrong and why our kids are what they are and stuff. But the real, to me, from being an old coot, the real problem, the whole real problem with our whole society, our whole world, our churches, is that men are not men anymore, and they are no longer the head of the household like God ordered. You show me, and you're going to get some letters on this one, I'll guarantee you. You show me a house that a woman's wearing the pants, and I'll show you a home that's in total disarray.
Well, you're right. Actually, I think the NLT or the NIV talks about this. Marcy had a revelation on it, and then started looking, and sure enough, in one of the translations, it's written that way, that like where it says after the fall, where it says that the woman will have a desire for her man, the right translation is actually that the woman will have a desire to control her man. So that's also a natural desire. That it's and the thing is, I don't know, if men, because we're lazy, we're tired of fighting. I don't know. A lot of us have just set it down, and
I think a lot of it, like you didn't make it a bit of a conspiracy yet. Things today, look at everything that you basically eat, the things you do day to day. Obesity is a big thing in America, right? Like that's a big thing, being overweight. Overweight drops testosterone. Mm-hmm. The less testosterone you have, the more estrogen you have. The more estrogen you have, the more emotional you are, the more you are to kind of give in and be compliant. Testosterone is a big thing for us as men. You require it. Like you
turns out how
well I was going to say, you can see very well, like right now, how it kind of affects you.
Big time.
Everything you do, like junk food, all of that stuff, the more you eat, the higher your cholesterol, the lower your testosterone. So a lot of this stuff is kind of working in a direction to where men really lose desire to be a man, to be in charge, to be an alpha, and everything is kind of directing us towards that whole beta thing. And the thing is, it doesn't necessarily affect women the exact same way. So a lot of times, I don't think that it's even really planned that the women are trying to be
No,
like, it's not a
it's
hostile
natural.
takeover. Well, exactly. But they're stepping up to fill a space that's
Absolutely.
not there by a man.
Yeah, the men leave
Because-
that we as men leave out. You're absolutely right.
Exactly. Because like so many in Christianity, it's you know, it says wives respect your husband. Why should they respect you if you don't give them something to respect? Like if you're gonna sit there and just be a weak example and not be anything, why should they respect you? You know, and then at that point, somebody has to step up, and oftentimes it'll be a woman that steps up because a man is not willing to.
I think because women, this mama bear, I guess, analogy for women,
Okay.
they tend to. I know that I see that in my wife. She has a lot harder time just leaving the kids there and letting them fend for themselves. I think that can be overdone. I'm probably a little bit too lenient on that.
I think that's one of those two. That there's a happy medium.
Yeah, they're probably, and that maybe that's why like me and my wife kind of figured that out or trying to figure that out because Marcy is a lot less like let him be.
Yeah.
Like when we were going somewhere, she does now, but it's also like I said, I probably a little bit a lot of times maybe a little bit.
She's too protective. You're too let him go.
Yeah.
I think there's a lesson to be learned there, and
there's
that's
gotta
gonna
be room for mistakes
I agree. That's one of those things.
for her and for me.
Obviously, there has to be room for mistakes because they've been doing this for thousands of years and nobody's written a book yet. So obviously, it's not nobody's figured it out yet. So
There's been thousands of books. They're
how
all
many of
wrong.
them worked? Exactly. When I say a book hadn't been written, I mean one that I guess I should clarify. There's not a good book written.
So
At least not one that works on everybody.
Me and Marcy actually, I don't know when we'll do this because it'll be the hardest thing will be not to make it just completely and utterly awkward. But I'm like 2 hours into this book. There's a book called "This Great Sex Rescue."
Okay.
Very good book. I was like, oh, it's a woman's book. Marcy's like, why don't you try it? Oh, yeah, I'll try it. It's good. There's some things I don't completely agree with, but in general, very, very dead on. Like there's things that she talks about that, oddly enough, we had never read the book, that we found in our own marriage that works with sex in the bedroom and other things like that. That works, but never read a book on it. And it's like, how do we figure we did figure it out? And one of them is she recommends that pick either partner. Lay down for like 15 minutes and the other partner just discover, touch, prod, kiss, lick, whatever, different parts of your body and see what feels good, what turns you on.
Okay.
And you're not allowed to move. You can just say what works, what doesn't work.
So it's a simple yes or no.
Yeah. It sounds very interesting. I thought about that. Like, man, I don't think we have a whole lot left to explore. But yeah, one day, so Aaron will be sitting behind the screen getting read, and me and Marcia will try.
It's
to
gonna be funny.
about that.
We're gonna have to put a whole nother camera specifically on Aaron at all times, because this will be like in the shop with Zachary, like where the things accidentally slip and you know the bright red
tomato
up and he just freaks out. Yeah, this will be like that. Aaron will be like,
I think we'll do it.
I knew them when I walked in the room. I really know them now.
It's really good because the thing is, like, we obviously didn't grow up like Old Colony. In Old Colony, it's especially like there's a lot of people come from Bolivia.
No, but it's not even just Old Colony. As a Mennonite in general,
Right.
sex is something you don't talk about.
Right. So
Because even at Encounter, how was that
but
brought
this-
up?
So this is like so this is a book. She also the author of this book has read a lot of books, Christian books, and she takes some of the examples how what was written wasn't right, that it misses the point. Some was in with good intentions, but it misses the point.
Like how? Like that it's misinterpreted, like translated incorrectly, or what do you mean?
The book makes excuses either for men or for women or both,
Okay.
and that it just it enforces bad theology.
Okay.
A lot of the Christian sex books, things like that, and
I didn't know there was Christian sex books. I hadn't read any of
plenty
those.
of it.
Really?
Dude, like we to this day, the greatest thing that ever happened for me and my wife as far as our sexual relationship was a 3-in-1 marriage seminar at the First Baptist Church. We ended up going to one that was specifically about men and women, and which they said, well, you men got to remember, women are crock pots and men are like microwaves. And I told my wife, I need to go tell her that's different. I might be microwave, but you're dynamite. Not all women fall in that category. And but
Did you go correct the lady?
I did. She just kind of laughed. But she this breakout teaching that she did, she said one of the questions that she was asked a lot is as a Christian couple, what's off limits in the bedroom? And she said nothing as long as you and your partner agree on it.
Yeah, you remember the EXO marriage conference we did at your house like 2-3 years ago? Robert Morris speaks on some of that stuff. That was my thought, because he said he counseled a couple, and they were worried. I guess they had taken it too far, bringing in toys and all of those things, and people would shun them, so they couldn't talk to people about
That's
it.
Christian, a big deal.
And they had told him about it, and they were worried about it. And he said, why are you worried about it? If you didn't do this just for yourself, you did it for your partner, know, in some way, shape, or form, that you were trying to make it more enjoyable for them.
Especially if you have a healthy marriage to begin with.
Yeah, exactly.
Or working on a healthy marriage.
Yeah.
Where it's not the man bringing in something that he's seen in a porno or
yeah,
something. That's a different
exactly.
story.
You start to demoralize it. That's a different story. But
that's not what this is.
What goes on between you and your wife in your bedroom really concerns nobody. And the thing is, I can see it can get far enough that it can become dangerous. You could demoralize. Like, there's things you could do to the human body that at some point in time it could cause like permanent damage in the future. There's things that could be considered taking it too far, like sodomizing. Like that would hurt. Yeah, exactly.
So then you both partners are not good with it.
Yeah, but the thing is, even let's say you take two people that maybe take things a little bit too far, like some fetishes that could be unhealthy. Some of that stuff I see where you could.
Think of any.
I don't. We're not going to go in any.
Maybe you're in a different area.
No, I'm just saying, like just for example, like think about some of the weird things that go on.
Into an ER for about a week.
Yeah,
and then
see, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Because what was making because they both enjoyed it.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what people are into. People are into weird crap. Like that. That's exactly what I was thinking. You know what popped into my head when he was talking about this?
Well, it works for me.
Sent me to the ER. You've seen those shows ever? Like they're on like True TV.
Oh, I've been in those shows.
That's what I'm talking about.
I've seen it.
It'd be kind of fun. You want to go to the ER?
I don't. But it'd be funny.
But that's why I'm saying, like, there is things that could be considered, rough enough that would do that, but that most people might be into, or both of the couple. But I think it can be taken too far.
But I don't know. I mean, like I said, I can't think of anything.
Maybe it's just that we have some morals.
About
what's that?
What he says about that, to commit your bodies wholly to one another.
Right. That's not very descriptive.
It's really not, and I think that might be one of those that is somewhat led up to interpretation.
Do you think maybe he left a little of that up to your imagination?
Exactly. Exactly.
But the imagination can go to a lot of different places.
Yeah, it really can.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of it is influence. Because here's the thing. I shouldn't even go into this right now.
It's probably not the best time to go into this conversation. Like, we could have an entire podcast based on this. And the thing is, it probably the crappy thing is, this would probably be the one that would get the most views.
Here's the thing.
And this would be one of those that would get back to your family.
So
like I can already hear it. Like your brother's gonna ask you, so what did you do?
Me and Marcy have not really we were married for 17 years.
Yeah.
But until I started listening to this book, there's some conversations we've never had because it was too embarrassed to talk about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now we have, and it turns out, like, there's things. Because I always seen my wife as, I don't know, sacred would be the wrong word. But, I guess I don't know.
I think it is. I think that would be the perfect word.
The bedroom should never be defiled. And my pornography addiction really held me back from exploring my wife's body, I guess, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So to me, it was like for Johnny, and he was very open about it. Johnny, what's his name? Johnny Berg.
Yeah.
To him, he was looking for what he had seen in other pornography or in the magazines, for that to be
that to be normal.
Yes, in the bedroom after he got married, he didn't find that, which almost destroyed his marriage. For me, it was the opposite. For me, I didn't fulfill.
Those weren't things that were welcome in the room, in the bedroom.
Oh no, not just that. There was things that are very welcome that now we've talked about it. And my wife is okay with it. And I was overly conservative because it seemed evil because I'd seen it in pornography. And the thing is, it wasn't that it was that bad or odd. It just, yeah.
Don't dove nicht.
Well, yeah, I couldn't get myself. It was like I didn't want to defile the bedroom.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Well, Wetzel, I don't care what anybody says. A beet is too far.
A beet?
What?
Are you talking about the vegetable?
Yeah.
See? Weird crap.
I don't know where that's going.
I'm just scared already.
I'm 71 years old and I ain't never had heard a beat mentioned yet.
Yeah, me neither, but that's exactly why I'm
Not
saying
in relation of sex.
weird crap happens.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying
Like,
you need to come with me to an ER for 2 weeks.
We're
and-
way off topic here, but
You
I'm
might
kind of
change your
curious. What goes through a person's mind?
How would you use beets? Let's not go there. Hold on.
I was about to say,
Yeah,
what happened?
I don't
Did you walk into the? Did you walk
you
into the
ask that
kitchen?
question.
No. Let's just for a second.
No.
I just want to know this. Do you walk in the kitchen for a midnight snack, open the fridge, and go, huh?
No, the midnight snack comes
Hey!
afterward. So the midnight snack comes after sex. So
Boy,
this
did
happens
the
while
wheels
making
fall
dinner.
off this wagon.
This must have happened while
Yeah.
making dinner. I need pee. Oh shit.
That's bad because how would you do that? You're sitting there cutting your beets, looking across the table, hoping the kids don't catch what you're
Hey,
shooting
baby.
for. Yeah. What do you think of these beets? That's no.
Dude, I will
What
never
the
look at my
heck?
wife making dinner the same way ever again.
We're never having beets at home. Never.
You know that guy you told me about that says you guys are scary?
Okay.
He's right.
This really was a good one.
And I
Yeah.
can guarantee you what, there's 47 million old women sitting out there that any of them hear this are going to be writing you letters.
You know what? I'm surprised how you know the number that
Yeah,
on.
that's what I was just
47.
going to say.
Huh?
That's awfully exact.
What?
The amount of old women.
47 million.
Well, you watch them. There's 47 old women sitting in denominational churches, and they've been there for all them years, and they still don't know Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior and their best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I like I said, for me, that one breakout at that one 3-in-1 marriage seminar has in a lot of ways shaped our bedroom. It's taken years because we've left the Baptist church years ago. So,
Yeah.
but it's been like when she said that, she paused and she said, "I'll repeat everything you and your partner agree on, me." You are full of shit, lady. And I went home and thought about it.
But you think about that. That's the exact same thing you were taught coming out of the Mennonite religion. You walked out and somebody said, if you believe in Jesus Christ and you believe that he died for you and that he was raised again on the third day so that you may go to heaven and live with him, you sat there and thought, you are full of shit. It is
But he was
not
right.
that simple. But the thing is that is.
Yeah, it is.
And I think is that's exactly so that talk you got is the exact same thing the day we were come out of the Mennonite religion and were saved.
No, I walked out of there and that stuck with me. But not just so. The reason this Alaska trip that I'm taking, I picked. It cost a little bit extra to go fishing for the whole time we're there. I think it's 6 days. There's one day that we kind of break out and talk about it. But 6 days of fishing, you could do 3 and 3. I picked all days of fishing because a lot of what Ford Taylor, when I first listened to him at the first Heaven and Business, a lot of what Ford Taylor talked about was like that. Like, this guy he's gone too far. Yeah, a little bit off his rocker. And I started going home, and I think on some of it he's a little bit over to one side or the other.
Yeah.
But that's not my problem. That maybe it's just his calling and he's right where he needs to be. But even if he is, he said things that, like, I keep saying that, like, he broke my mind and I had to put it back together on the way home.
Yeah.
There was so much that I couldn't quit thinking about on the way home. And a lot of it is one of the reasons why I wouldn't call myself a Republican anymore, because so much, almost every single show out there, all it is ammunition to throw rocks at the other side.
It really is. 'Cause
Nobody
it goes off
looks for.
Everybody is wrong.
Yeah,
I
and
agree. It doesn't matter whether liberal,
Yeah.
Democrat, conservative, Republican. It doesn't matter what.
It's just ammunition.
Yeah.
It's ammunition for the regular people.
We ought to maybe
sit
take
there
a
and
step
hate-
back and look at where we started and just say we're Americans.
And no, but that's,
Yeah.
the thing is, not just that. Let's step back and find solutions. And you don't need to be on the radio sitting there talking about giving everybody a mission about how Joe Biden, because I don't. At one point, especially when I first came back, it really angered me almost when like seeing all these things, memes about Joe Biden.
Well, you
They're
remember,
all
okay,
true,
so
but they're
let's-
useless.
Let's take a step back to the election. You remember during the election when we were still having these meetings at your house? We sat there and there was so much crap spewed on it. I think I mentioned it once or twice. Who that calls themselves a Christian did take a step back and not just throw crap at him for being who he was, but to actually take the time and say, I feel bad for the guy, maybe say a prayer for him.
Yeah.
Nobody did. Hey, no, we were all too busy.
I
You know what
remember
we
that
were
'cause I
doing?
didn't like what you said.
Some did.
Exactly.
Some
I'm sure
people
there was some
did.
that did, but I'm talking about like
But
the people that we
our
associate with at that
crowd.
time. Yeah, we did not.
But most generally, to add to that, because I am guilty of this one.
Yeah.
I'd cuss them and give them holy heck, and then usually about halfway through it, God would kick me in the head and say, instead of cussing him, you need to be praying for him.
But see, even there, that goes back to those two farmers. If you just pray for them, it's like that farmer that prayed for rain and didn't go prep the land. Pray for them and then go do something about it. And for me, it's local. Like that's where I finally.
Well, the thing is, a lot of us we're not politicians, and where
We
is
don't
our
have to be.
field?
I
Is
don't
going to
wanna
be
be.
exactly our field is our
But
home.
grassroots is not politicians.
No, I
I
agree.
That's like those guys that are sitting around the docks. I got arrested for impersonating a politician, and I was doing nothing. All I was doing is sitting around doing nothing. Like that's
I love watching those guys.
that's a politician. Grassroots movements don't have nothing to do with politicians.
No, they don't. They
Like
really
the
are just at home.
Tea Party movement, which got politicized at the end.
Yeah.
But it was a genuine grassroots.
The thing is, anything. It doesn't matter grassroots or not. Anything that makes it big enough to just catch a couple of people is going to be politicized one way or the other.
it will be, but that shouldn't deter
Shouldn't
us
stop,
from
yeah.
keep doing it.
I know what you're saying.
But I like what you said, and I get a question a lot. They're like, I've never heard you bad talk Biden ever, and I'm like, frankly, I feel so bad for that man. And they're like, what side? I'm like, I worked in a no sourcing home for 3 years, and I dealt with a lot of all-timers patients and people with dementia. I can tell you right now, this man is in stage 2 timers as we speak. That man should not
Or sometimers.
be forced to stand up on
Well, that's
a
all politics.
podium and speak.
Right.
This man should be enjoying his family and what time he's got left.
True.
But also, the legacy that this man has left behind him is awful.
Yeah.
And he's got to know that and live with that every day. And I know that he knows that.
I think it's kind of hard to say that reaping what you sow is not applied in this instance.
Yeah.
I think it very much is.
But that we know it's all politics, but that should not and I don't have a desire so much to change national politics. I think we should start right where we were at.
Yeah.
And maybe not. I don't know what my job is. I want maybe encourage people to stand up, because there was actually Dwight posted this on Facebook, the election results, and the judge that won literally by 5 votes.
Oh, Thurwinger?
Thurwinger, yeah.
Wow.
5 votes.
I think it's small town. It makes a big difference. Every vote counts. So many people, they say, oh, well, my one vote's not going to make a difference. Bull crap.
It does.
Pay attention. Yeah.
It does. Not just that, you can't make yourself heard unless you go vote. It's the easiest way.
Yeah.
And then from there, you can go and do local, whatever in the local community. But we're almost at the 2-hour mark. I think this got to be the
We
longest.
got
one we've ever had.
way off. Like
Yeah.
we were supposed to start with anger and stuff. I don't think we even got into any of the verses that we're supposed to go into that.
But it was a good conversation.
That was.
We cured the world problems
Oh yeah, all of them.
in 2 hours.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big Pops did it again.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Well,
That was good.
unless somebody else has anything else, we will finish it there.
Yep.
We'll see y'all. Oh, by the way, whoever's watching this, we've decided to go to every other week, doing the podcast every other week. We're going to still have a Bible study instead of the podcast. We're feel like it might be a better decision to do that. We used to be a bigger group, and we've lost a few guys because they're not comfortable with this. And I think it would be good for us as well.
Yeah, not comfortable with the camera and necessarily
The conversations are not the same either.
They don't get as heated on here because a lot of guys, like I've learned from myself, you really take a step back to make sure
Yeah.
don't just
Exactly.
spew crap. And some people aren't comfortable with once it's recorded, it's there forever.
And I think
And I think
that doing
it is what it is.
every other week doing the Bible study, I think is going to make this podcast better too.
I think so.
So on that note, bye.